Welcome back to California Live. Now, you may know actor Saul Rubinek from decades of memorable roles on screen, but his latest project connects to his roots in a very personal way. He stars in Shell, a black and white film capturing life in a Jewish village just before World War II. I had the chance to sit down with Saul to talk about why telling stories like this matters right now and to take a trip down his star-filled memory lane. Saul, thank you for being here, California Live.
Oh, I'm happy to do it.
This was performed entirely in Yiddish, which you are fluent in.
Well, I grew up, I'm born in a refugee camp, and I came in Germany. My parents are Holocaust survivors, and they got to the American zone as fast as possible. Jews caught in the Eastern European zone, you know, in the Russian zone, like Poland, after the Holocaust, ran as fast as their legs could carry them. This movie is almost entirely in Yiddish. We built a shtetl. A shtetl is the Yiddish word and also the German word for small town, shtetl. And shtetls were the life's blood of Eastern Europe. There were thousands of them all over Eastern Europe. They were all destroyed, all of them. So yeah, we built this shtetl, and this film is done in a single shot.
That's incredible to me.
Well, you've seen Birdman, or you've seen 1917, these extraordinarily beautiful movies that are done in a single shot. What that is today, when you do that, you do a master shot. That means no intercutting for close-ups. You do a master shot, and then you have to carefully calibrate and organize the architecture of how that shot begins and ends, because at the end of the shot, you're going to digitally stitch together the beginning of the next shot so that it looks like a single shot. Still, it's like theater.
I was just going to say, that must have felt like theater to you with one continuous.
It is. I'm in two shots in this whole movie. Each of them is about, 10 minutes long. But it was an extraordinary thing for me to be able to act in the language that I grew up in. This film is one of the most extraordinary things I've ever done. And I feel
that from you. I can feel how passionate you are about it. I feel like this story is more important now than ever before.
Well, it is, given worldwide anti-Semitism. That is really not a break from our entire history. We haven't had, much of a time when anti-Semitism was not part of our history. But here's why it's important. This film takes place in 1941, one day in June. One day. And that day is the last day this shtetl will be alive. I'm not worried about the spoiler of this. It was Operation Barbarossa, which was the day that the Germans broke their pact with Stalin and attacked. This film is about the life of the shtetl, which most people would believe is basically Fiddler on the Roof. That was the life, but that's not accurate.
Right.
Shtetl life was feminists, atheists, Zionists, anti-Zionists, Bundists. There were religious people, non-religious people. There was arguments. There was 10,000 Jews and 30,000 opinions. That was the life of the shtetl. Volatile, provocative, and that is what is shown in this film. It is a very... It's almost like what is the least commercial movie we can think of? Let's get financing for that. We'll do a black and white movie. We'll do it all in Yiddish, of which there's 9 speakers in the world, and we'll do it in a single shot. Let's do that movie.
It's incredible, and it is so impressive, and I can tell the passion that's coming from you for this movie. It's pretty amazing. You've also had an amazing career, and I want to talk about some of the iconic actors you've also worked with. Can we play a little game? We want to take you down memory lane. Put your glasses on. You're going to need them. I want you to tell me, out of all of these actors here that you've worked with, who do you think could nail the scene in one take?
Here's the question that is a better question. Who couldn't do this in one take? This is 100%. Every single one of these actors.
I mean, they are all pretty amazing. What about who could make the whole set laugh? Who do you think could make the whole set laugh here?
Everybody but Clint.
Okay, there you go.
But Clint would, Clint was such a gentleman. Clint's vibe. There's a great story about him. His vibe is not that of a cop. The vibe of Clint Eastwood is that of a jazz musician, which is what he is. He's a jazz pianist. And his vibe is kind of an easygoing collaborator. And so he might not make the whole set laugh because he's so his demeanor was rather shy and easygoing. And if you didn't know him from his movies, if you went on the set, you'd have a lot of trouble trying to figure out who the director is, because he really didn't direct openly. He hires people that he's worked with for years. He hires actors that he thinks, he says, you're in charge, Amber. He would say, you're in charge of the department called whatever your role is. You know, he doesn't think that he has agency over your creative decisions. So he's that kind of extraordinary artist and collaborator.
Okay, last one. Who would you most want to share a set with again if it was tomorrow? Out of all of these people.
Brad Pitt and I have never worked in the same scene, but Brad Pitt and I were both in True Romance.
That's right.
And Julia was just a wonderful presence, and I remember how kind she was. My daughter's 35 now, but she was, you know, she was 3 years old when she was so sweet to her.
Wow. See, these are the types of stories, like your iconic career and the amazing people that you've gone to work with. I can't even imagine all the stories that you must have. So we're going to have you back, Saul. Thank you so much for being here. All right, and Saul's film is screening in Los Angeles tomorrow with a special Q&A featuring Saul. For tickets and more information, head to lemley.com. Now, next.